How do I even begin? Well, this isn't going to be like my regular video, so for context, is I still haven't figured out what I'm naming this video yet, since honestly it's shock with what's going on in my country. For those that are unaware, I am an American. I'll state this first. I'm an American first, recently became a Canadian citizen second, so that's nice, but not the main reason why I'm making this video, but something happened today which deeply disturbs me to a sense. See, in America, the political spectrum has been shifting more from centralist viewpoints of, being on the political spectrum, but, still being within more so from the main sides of having people that are, still on, let's say, on the left, being still in the center, and having people on the right still be in the center. Lately, for the past years and years, both sides, due to kind of expansive social media to some extent, have grown larger and more extreme in some cases, which leads to some stuff that honestly I do not agree with whatsoever. And this this issue kind of came apart since I'll admit I try to remain to be a centralist. I try to be, where I try respecting both sides despite their many flaws. I try being neutral as much as I fail at doing so, because I'll admit I'm more left leaning, but I'm always open to hearing the other side and willing to compromise with the other side as long as it's respectable and, not harmful. So this incident happened earlier today, and I'll just say this. Overall, I am not a fan of Charlie Kirk. As I'm not a fan of any political people in general that are from the moderates to in between, from moderate to extreme on either side of the political spectrum. I don't care whatsoever for any of the hardcore extreme politics. I do not care whatsoever about that. All I care about is honestly just the, how do I even say it? As I don't really care for the political side of things. I just care for the fact that we can for the fact that not a lot of people now are willing to have political arguments that wouldn't result in, the reason why I say arguments rather than debates, because at least in a debate you can competently, get the other person to kind of see where you're coming from, and you can hopefully get the person that you're debating to see some of your points as well, and you can see some of their points as well. Lately, that's been kind of thrown out the window, and it's been more of just people arguing back and forth with each other to seeing, quote unquote, who's better. And one of the things that kind of is sad is that, well, today Charlie Kirk shot was shot dead at his rally. He was a bit of a right. Well, not a bit. He was in between from moderate right to extreme right. Right? And he was a famous college quote unquote debater, where he would debate a lot of college people. And he was shot in the neck earlier and was dead. I'm not promoting anything from him, since I do not agree with him 100%. I mean, I'm sure there would be some points that we could agree on, like humans being treated like humans, but like I wouldn't say, like, I wouldn't try understanding people's viewpoints and then trying to, create a compromise that could satisfy both parties, which is what democracy and how political opinions and debates should go. where you still respect people, but assassinating a person over a disagreement with political views is something that honestly shocks and terrifies me because honestly I do not have the exact words to say with how to even begin with this in a sense. Like I'm honestly more mortified. Like I'll admit, when Trump was shot last year, a little bit prior to, well, September, but when he was shot in the ear, and the assassination attempt on him failed, thankfully, which, well, I'll be honest, like, even though I dislike Trump, I don't want him to be killed just because I disagree with him. I don't. And honestly, I'll just say this, like, even though I disagree with Charlie Kirk, I don't want him. Don't want him dead. And it's scarier that it happened on a college campus because, for those that don't know, I am now in college. And also, in case some of y'all don't know, I'm openly Jewish. Like I wouldn't obviously go around telling people that I'm Jewish, but, I will say that I have a pretty Jewish last name. And honestly, with political tensions now starting to rise because, when people are doing something extreme as assassinating political activists that are a bit extreme, it only causes a more thorough rise in other extremes from both sides. Like, it creates a rise, respectively, in both sides, which is not good and possibly brings more violence to college grounds because, I'll just say, college people are still figuring out the last bits of their life before heading off into the real world, in a sense, and a lot of it is still them trying to figure out what happens, and it's just honestly sad with what happened with Charlie Kirk. Like, I don't agree with his views, I can still say that I don't want him dead, nor should anyone have wanted him dead, because I believe that you can respectfully, politically disagree with people, and whether if you want to respect their opinions or not, that's up to you. But, just trying to be understanding of where the other side's coming from, and trying to get the other side to be understanding of where you're coming from, and try making, something that does well, because I'm honestly more so shocked that this happened, because, honestly, I'll just say, I don't care that Charlie Kirk was conservative or right wing. He, at the end of the day, was just a guy that was more politically leaning more so towards moderate through extreme rightism, although not directly advocating for the extreme, but he was in between that aspect ratio, but he was doing nothing wrong by trying to debate people on college campuses. Now, was he doing it for a bit of clout? I'll say yeah, because who doesn't make a career off of debating people and not do it for clout, since how else are you going to make money from it? But this is just, honestly, it's just sad because yeah, I don't think it was a pretty fair thing to happen, because now it's gonna kind of incentivize people on the right now begin to possibly try retaliating. And by the right, I mean the extreme right, not like the average, right-winged person, but I mean like the extreme right, since both extreme sides of the extreme left and extreme right aren't exactly known for being the most peaceful of people, but I'm really hoping that this can remain a peaceful issue and not go down a path where we see more political assassinations happen. And because at the end of the day, I'm torn, because it's like, on one hand, I'm just shocked and appalled that something like this would even happen in the United States. Like, I don't know where it is. And the other part of me that's torn is that now with people now, because if this isn't dealt with proper and make sure that no more political assassinations happen, what's going to be the terminology for the politics before rando, possibly extremist decides that your politics is not what needs to be done, is not correct, and then decides to take it out on you for either assassination or something else. And it terrifies me, because we should be allowed to have... It is a privilege for us to have differing political opinions. It is a privilege of Americans. Do we have the right for our differing opinions? Yes, that's under free speech. Free speech. As long as we're not inciting violence or trying to incite terrorism, we are allowed to have differing views under free speech. That's a privilege in this nation. But with seeing, something like this happened where someone kills someone, like, I'll admit, Charlie Kirk was young. He was 31. That is quite young, relatively speaking, compared to a lot of other political people. And it's just a sickening thing to see happen, because just because you disagree with someone doesn't give you the right to enact out violence on them, or to take away their own life. Like, it is something that I wouldn't say, like, it is something that's deserved or whatnot. Like, I fully say this, like, it's not a thing that should happen to anyone under any circumstance. It's just one of those things where I'm more appalled by it, because it's just one of those things where I can't comprehend, and now I'm more, well, not scared for myself, but scared for what might result from this, because there are plenty of politicians I don't like. There are plenty. Do I want to see them dead because I disagree with them? No. And do I want, this to cause an extreme backlash and also cause more people to start killing politicians they don't like, or like political activists that they don't like in retaliation for this? No. I do not want to see anyone die over differing political views, especially in the U.S., because here it's a privilege that we're able to differ in views. Just because you don't agree with someone doesn't mean that you have the right, as I mentioned before, to take away their life. And it's just one of those things where I can't process it nearly as well. Like, it's one of those things that honestly just scares me more so than anything, because it's like, now what establishes, like, what's the line people have before they start trying to kill someone that they disagree with, like, for politicians and stuff. I'm not saying politicians are all good, because Because honestly, I don't really care too much about politicians. As long as they're doing what the people that voted them in want, I'm fine with that. If they're not doing what the people that voted them in want, then I'm not alright with it. But seeing someone like a political activist, being killed now leaves that political activist now to become a martyr of their ideals, and now people would be backing up behind that. And it could be used for a good thing, but it can also be used for a bad thing. But I'm not trying to insinuate or take any sides. I'm just genuinely shocked and more appalled by my nation that this happened in my nation. And I have no more words. It is one of those things that I don't know what to say. I don't know how to really respond. I don't know what to do since it's just very awful, and I just am stuck, not sure how to process it. Even though I disagree with Charlie Kirk, he shouldn't have died. Period. And he shouldn't have been killed. This isn't like where he died purely because, of health issues or old age or an accident. No, this was an assassination. He got shot in the neck. Which, by the way, the fact that there is a gun on a college campus is really scary. I'm not sure how that gun was brought on. Not trying to blame or say, I will say, yeah, I wish there were some stricter gun control laws, but then again, I understand the other side as well as opinions on it, but I try understanding both sides of a conflict, even though I might agree more with one side. With one side, I'm not going to straight up try to ignore the other side, but this is honestly just awful. I don't know what to say, since it's one of those things where I don't wish that anyone, even people I strongly disagree with, to be killed and stuff. I strongly disagree with Trump, although I would say, I can admit, if Trump does something good, I'll give credit where credit's due, but if he does something bad, I won't like him. Because I personally have lost all personal respect for Donald Trump from January 6th, since that scared me as well and just left me kind of speechless and not really able to think of what is going on with the nation. It's one of those things where I'm just hoping this doesn't become a big issue between different political ideologies, and then more activists and more politicians get killed or harmed as a result from the extremists on both sides duking it out with one another, and having a lot of people get caught into crossfire. It's one of those things where I don't know what I should do in order to help out. I just thought I'd give my opinions on this since it happened today, and honestly, I was more shocked and personally just trying to figure out how to even make this video since there's so much on my mind. But I don't want to indicate what political side that I'm on, because as I mentioned before, I try to be a neutralist. It has left-leaning tendencies and right-leaning tendencies. I swap back and forth between them to find a common ground. Would I say my political view is perfect? No. But would I say that seeing someone being killed for theirs, it's something that scares me more so than anything, because now it's going to cause more of a political civil war in a sense, and I don't want to deal with that outcome, but I know it's going to be a large thing that's going to be talked about tomorrow tomorrow as well. But tomorrow I am making a video since I do every September 11th. I make a video on honoring those that have died on September 11th, 2001, except for the terrorists, which can promptly go, well, you don't need me to say what I want them to do. You can imply that, but in all honesty, I'm just shocked. I don't even know how to say it. I'm sad that an assassination happened, since it's not fair for people to be assassinated for different views, since it just removes an element of humanity from kind of trying to reason with the other side, and now you're giving the other side a reason to now fight back against without trying to understand the other side, which means no possible chance for peace between the political parties and between with trying to understand one another as human beings. It's sad, and I'm not sure how to feel about it. I'll leave off the video here because it is one of those things where I'm not sure how to feel about. I'm not saying any of what I'm going to be saying is right or wrong. I'm just saying my own thoughts. Thoughts where I'm more terrified that something like this happened in our nation, where freedom of speech and differing political views literally made our country unique, strong, and special, especially compared to us, the Western world. Anyways, I'll see you all later. So I don't even know how to end this. And I should once again mention I'm not a fan at all of Charlie Kirk. But I don't want to see anyone die for their differing political views. It's not fair. It's not a thing that I would ever condone, since I only condone death in the sense of death to your enemy if you're fighting a war with another nation and you're a soldier and you're firing against enemy soldiers, then I understand. But if it's just a civilian on civilian violence, I don't agree with at all. It just is unnecessary, and also it causes martyrs to occur and causes people to begin to try to spin the situation into their own narratives and political purposes. It's one of those things that I'm scared of happening with this. So tomorrow would be interesting, but I'm hoping it won't be bad. But I can only hope. Anyways, Charlie Kirk will welcome you to the Cakehead Nation Memorial. Although I don't fully agree with any of your political views, I'll gladly accept you in the Cakehead Nation Memorial to honor the memory of you that was taken from the world just because you had a differing political view, which I find ridiculous, silly, and very tragic that this happened. Anyways, that's all I have for now. Goodbye.